it's just like this boundless, global kind of hardcore vibration, man. There's shows everywhere, and it's like that. It's that feeling, like just the it's the energy, and it's the kind of the release, and like the power, and just like the expression, and it's just like it doesn't get old, and I still love doing it so many years later, and I don't see me stopping anytime soon. I'm from Yonkers, New York. That's for those that don't know, that's just above New York City. And as a kid, I was a classic rock kid, and my first exposure to guitar rock would have been Kiss, and then the Who, and Zeppelin, and Van Halen, and those are the initial, and Deep Purple really too. And those were those would have been the initial inspirations to start playing guitar. Yeah, someone gave me like a Sabbath Greatest Hits cassette, and from there it went into Iron Maiden, and then to Slayer, Metallica, Celtic Frost, and from hearing those bands, I started to hear hardcore music. Probably like GBH and the Misfits, and then Minor Threat and Black Flag. So that was kind of the progression from the original guitar rock I listened to into punk and hardcore. So I started ordering cassettes in the mail, like Cro-Mag's demo. People were making me mixtapes when I first heard Victim in Pain for the first time by Agnostic Front. That was just an incredible eye-opener, and like kind of changed everything about the way I thought about music. It was a rare thing to see anyone else in Yonkers that was into hardcore, and if you did see them, they were easy to identify because there were just things that stood out. I mean, we met Rich McLaughlin, who sadly we lost in 2020, just by seeing a guy at the public pool with a mohawk. I mean, that's how things happen those days, you know. Those were heady days. It was always like every Sunday was like CB Sunday, but there was such a limited amount of hardcore shows and such a big desire for us to see hardcore shows that we would pretty much drive anywhere. So, driving up to the Anthrax in Norwalk, Connecticut was a regular thing for us to do, or up to Albany, or to shows in Middletown, or to Freeport, Long Island, the Right Track Inn, or to that place way out, the Sundance. That place is like a bucket of blood, man. Those shows were always super intense. Yeah, those were like the early days of seeing shows. Breakdown was absolutely my first band. I knew how to play bar chords and to play some harmonics and grab my Floyd Rose at that time. that was my skill set. Did back in the day too, when Breakdown came out and we put that demo out, we had a hard time getting any gigs, I mean, I'm sure everyone could relate to the difficulty of getting gigs. We played the Anthrax in Connecticut. We probably played like 10 or 12 shows before we got a gig in New York City, and that was at the Pyramid Club. Those shows were put on by Ray Bees and Ray Capo, from Warzone and Youth of Today, and I think it was Ray Capo that called Don, and Don thought it was a prank call, and he hung up on him. But it's hard to really say what my setup was, because it was really just, it was always different. It was always just grasping at trying to get something that could make some kind of a sound that I thought was okay. I had I had a Kramer Beretta, like an original '84 Kramer, the first year. Something about that guitar, I just couldn't get it to sound right. It's like it had this like hard rock maple body, and it was super bright. I had like a gray carpeted like Randall RG80 head at one point, and then like I think it was like. The first guy I remember having like one of these was Pete Collar from Sick of It All. He had like one of the 410 Marshall cabinets that they used to have. They made to go along with those MOSFETs heads, and they were so much cheaper than a 4x12, and they were easy to move around. So a lot of us had those. So I think my rig on that demo might have been like a Randall RG80 and a 410. Marshall cabinet. I'm not so sure, but it was absolutely my my Kramer Beretta, and it was recorded live to 2 tracks. You know, I was just like playing a set. That's when I started using like a Kramer Beretta. But like right before, you know, right when Breakdown was breaking up, and before Raw Deal started, I cracked the headstock off of the Beretta. And I had my Pointy Dean, like, you know, just collecting dust in the corner because it wasn't cool anymore. But when I picked that guitar up, it was like, wow, the tone of this guitar is sick. Like, this is so much heavier sounding than the Beretta. And that became the guitar that was like the Raw Deal guitar. I did the Raw Deal demo with that and played all like the initial shows with it. And all we had ever recorded was 2-track live demos, you know. You go in and you set up and you play like you're playing a show, and you do a couple takes and they record it and it's done. This was a proper 24-track studio. Get the studio for like a week, but yeah, we got there the night before we were going to start, and like Tom Hamilton from Aerosmith is sitting there at the board. Like, what? And there's gold records and platinum records on the wall. So like we're like, okay, this is real. That time, I had finally arrived at the point where I had a 100-watt JCM 800 and a 412 cabinet. But I don't know why I felt this, or someone told me, but for some reason I thought I needed like more firepower for the studio. So I rolled up there with like 4 412 cabinets and 2 100-watt heads. The guys at the studio didn't discourage me. They thought that was a great idea, and they positioned the cabinets in a box facing each other, like with all the speakers in, and then the whole array of mics inside that box. I've never seen that done before or since, and but they seem to be like, this is what you're supposed to do. So I was like, all right, cool. I had a you know, my Killing Time guitar was a 48th Street custom guitar. It was an alder body, maple neck, Strat style guitar. Served me for like many years, and that is the only guitar I had with me for that recording session. Which it's like I wanted to have something that was like inspired by that something. And like I met Sacha Dunable actually at the Music Zoo Gold Coast guitar event in 2017, and I thought he was super cool, and his guitars were really cool. And at that point, I resolved that I would, you know, have one of them one day, and it sort of merged with the idea of like, oh, I want to have the Brightside guitar back. I just worked with Sacha to make something that's based on the Dunable Gnarwhal design, which I thought was just a super cool design. It has the same classic 3-color sunburst finish, and has a maple neck, 25.5-inch scale, which is cool. Something about the way it responds, and also the tuning stability, like, you know, when someone's running across the stage and and taking your headstock into their chest, it stays in tune pretty good.